All right, welcome back to Joy in Our Town. I'm your host, Dave Edwards. My guest today is Tonya Ratliff, who is the Executive Director of Pepper's Ranch. And so we always invite you to think of this as a conversation and just pull up a seat at the table. And we're talking today about students and specifically about the foster care system and the problems that students face within that system. And so for people who don't know, Tonya, you're, as they say, you're not just a member, you're not just the president, you're also a member. You actually have your own set of kids, right? This is not just a thing that you do, like you live it.
Yeah,
right?
I practice what I preach.
How many kids? How many kids do you have?
I have 10. We have 10 amazing kids. They range in age from 11 months to 12 years old. I have 5 boys and 5 girls, even down the middle. We are great when it comes to the basketball team, the softball team.
Right.
We're our own party everywhere we go.
And so, what's it like when you all go out to eat?
When we go out to eat, there's lots of questions. I joke around. I said, that's a great way to promote our community.
Right.
When we're out at a restaurant and it's a table for 12, and they're like, "How many kids?" I'm like, 10. And they kind of look, they're like, and I'm like, "Yeah, 10. 10. And
right.
So are they all yours? Well, they sure are, every one of them. Some born through my body, some born through my heart, some with us for, maybe a short period of time, maybe forever, only God knows.
That's so good.
It's really fun. It's interesting. And we are a melting pot.
Right.
And we are when it comes to ethnicity.
Right.
So, and I think that's what makes us special. Very special.
I think that's the way God's family is supposed to look,
yes,
right? It's supposed to be that way, that we're not defined by our background or our ethnicity, that we're all defined by our spirits and our relationship to the Lord, right? So it sounds like you got a family that looks like the presence of the Lord, So, let's talk about, it's a good thing for kids to be at Pepper's Ranch, but also I know there's got to be problems in terms of when a student has to leave their biological parents. And so we'll talk about some of those, maybe for people who don't know, like what are those problems that they face?
Yeah. So, one thing that we look at, and it's so funny because we were having this conversation in the car, just the other day with my children. And so they made a comment, and I'm very specific in it. They know it kind of gets me riled up when they talk about this, but they made a comment and they said, "Well, there's a kid in my class and he's really bad." And I said, wait, he's what? He's bad. And they kind of looked at me, they said, "Well, not bad." And I said, what do I say about that when we talk about bad kids? There are never any bad kids. There are good kids from bad circumstances. And I said, exactly.
Right. Wow.
I said, you know what? I said, you have no idea what that child has lived through. You don't know what happens when they go home at night. You don't know if they have a family to go home to. So in some situations, they're acting out of survival mode. And that's what we have to remember. So the children that go into the DHS system are children of abuse, neglect, abandonment, sometimes child trafficking, drug exposure, severe poverty. I mean, you never know. Wow. You never know. And even what's on paper may not be the whole story. That's just enough of the story that the officer or social worker got to actually put down on the paperwork.
Right.
So you have no idea. And so when those kids enter an environment that has stability, love, healing, trust, sometimes it's definitely an adjustment, right? So when they went from, hoarding food or stealing food because that was the only meal they thought they might have for that day to you're fed here 3 times a day with snacks in between, sometimes that's too much for them. Sometimes they can't handle that. Sometimes they don't understand that they have a bed to sleep in and not on the floor. Sometimes they're more comfortable on the floor than in a regular bed just because that's what they've been used to. Sometimes physical contact is not okay because they don't know what it is to embrace and hug someone without feeling, worthless or feeling violated sometimes. So you never know. And so it's a huge adjustment period for those children truly to get regulated in what I say is, a healthy family. Because there's no normal families.
Right.
I'm not a normal family.
Right, no, yeah.
So, but you know what I mean, a healthy, loving family.
Right.
And sometimes that's something that the children have never experienced. So it's just showing them continued love, continued support, helping them heal through lots of different services. You know, one of the things at Pepper's Ranch, the services that we offer are there for a reason. So we have an unbelievable set of services, from equestrian therapy, art therapy, drama therapy, a school of ballet, culinary classes. Those are specifically created and lined out to help kids probably maybe find their hidden talents, see what they love.
Right.
Maybe help them heal through the love of horse riding or drama or arts or performing. So, you know, I think that's really important that we give these kids in their trauma methods of healing, and not just a therapist. I mean, everyone heals in different ways.
Right.
So not necessarily is it going to be, you know, sitting on a couch with, you know, a notepad telling me about your life.
Right.
Maybe it's reacting that in a certain way and showing, you know, how it could have been different. And I think that's really important. Healing begins at Pepper's Ranch, and I think that's
strong.
That's a given.
Yeah.
That's a given.
I think, you know, when I listen to you talk about all that, I think a lot of people maybe are aware that that's a need, but they don't really empathize. They don't really empathize with someone where you say, maybe they need to sleep on the floor for a while, but because that's what they're used to. Like, I don't, you know, people that live in North Oklahoma City, I don't know how to, if they know how to make that leap, you know, to think about the incredible circumstances that these kids come out of. And then what about as far as, you know, if you get a brother and sister, or you get siblings together, are you able to keep them together? Do they stay together when they're at the ranch, and then when they get adopted or whatever, do you try to preserve that unit?
Yeah, so, you know, and that's something that's very important. Does it happen every single time? No. Sometimes there are circumstances in which siblings can't be united.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Sometimes, truly, it is for the best, because you do have situations that arise that those siblings are healthier living in different homes, and that's okay. But for the most part, the goal is keeping those siblings together. And our community offers so many resources that those parents can bring sibling groups in to thrive together, to stay together. And maybe it's not a good fit in the same home, but that doesn't mean that they can't be next door neighbors.
Yeah, right.
Sometimes a little bit of distance, whether it's a backyard, you know, is
good.
a good amount of distance
Right.
to where they can be healthy.
Yeah.
Because in the end, it's about being healthy mentally, spiritually, physically. And then you look at the whole different, you know, realm, which is education. They have to be educated.
Right.
And that's one thing that you see in the foster care system. For every move a foster child makes, they normally go behind one grade level in school.
Wow.
So, you know, look at a kid that's been moved 9 different times. And this is statistics speaking, but still, you see these foster children that might have fabulous social skills and can talk themselves out of, you know, a ticket, a fight,
Right.
After they've stolen something.
Right.
But they have no idea what a relationship is.
Right.
They have no idea what multiplication tables are. And so, you know, you're really looking at street smart versus, you know, everyday activities of daily living, health and hygiene,
Right.
And obviously academic education.
And so are they educated at Pepper's Ranch, or do they go to schools in the area, or how does that work?
So kind of how it works in our community is each family has their own education plan.
Okay.
So each family really identifies any academic delays through the help of maybe some, you know, academic tutors or specialists, identify specific learning disabilities, and then from there they choose kind of the path that is going to be most successful. Sometimes it is in the Guthrie Public School System, sometimes it's the Oklahoma City Public School System, sometimes it's homeschooling, and other times it might be private forms of education. So really it's up to the parent to find that path of success for their kids.
All right, so you just help them work that out.
Just work through it.
That's really good. That's so powerful. I think that, how do you help someone deal with, I know there's a lot of struggles with attachment disorder.
Yes.
And like, what do you do to help someone deal with that? Because I've got a friend of mine that's been adopted. I got a family who adopted a 6-year-old, and he's like what you're saying, like he's very charismatic and has a lot of street smarts. But when it comes to trusting anybody and relating to anybody, it's just not there.
He's had to trust himself for so long, and he's been his sole provider.
Yeah.
And so, you know, and I think even children that haven't been in the foster care system maybe grew up in a different type of environment, who've had to be that survivor mentality. I think, you know, other individuals struggle with that too.
Yeah.
My daughter struggled severely with that. You know, I got her when she was 3.5 years old, and boy, it was a rough. I mean, it was a rough path. I mean, it really was.
Right. No, I
to
know
where
that,
she would have a bag packed, sitting by her door,
Right.
and I thought I was going crazy. I couldn't figure out why all these clothes were in this bag.
Yeah.
I mean, I was just like, what's going on? Why do you have this bag? Are you planning on going somewhere? Little did I know, she was anticipating her next move. And that was ugly. That was very ugly. It's not something she communicated to me.
Right. She just took it,
you know,
that was going to happen.
And then finally, you know, through a therapy session, kind of figured out that was what was going on in her life. And it was not until her adoption day. And we stood before a judge, and he hit a hammer, and he declared her a Ratliff. And she looked over at me, and I'll never forget it. And she said, you know what I'm going to do when I get home? And I said, what? She said, I'm going to unpack my bag.
That's beautiful.
And I looked at her and I said, and you're never going to pack it again. I said, unless you go and just spend the night at someone's house or you're leaving for college. I said, because never again will you have to fear not having a home. And I think it was just that closure. It took a hammer and a last name to give my daughter closure that she would have a forever family.
That's so.
But it's so hard. I mean, because not every child gets that. They don't. Because some parents want to give up before that, you know, because it's too hard. And let me tell you, this journey is not easy.
Right.
It's not. And not everyone has to be a foster parent to get involved. Not everyone has to open their home to a foster child in need. I mean, you can be a mentor. You can volunteer at Pepper's Ranch. I joke around and I say, you know, pick your passion for Pepper's. What do you love to do that you want to teach someone else to be good at?
That's beautiful.
What, you know, is it fishing? Is it, you know, sports? Is it a hobby? Is it woodworking? You tell me, what do you love to do that you want to come and bless our community with from a service standpoint?
Wow.
And people love that, because it's not like, I have to do art class and I hate to paint. It's, you know, I really want to be here. I want to be involved because this is what I love to do, and I want to show someone else my love for this gift.
So people watching today, like if they have a talent or passion about something, they could use what God's given them and invest it at Pepper's Ranch.
Invest it in the life of a child that is yearning for someone to invest in them.
Wow.
Absolutely.
You know, when you said it took a hammer for her to feel like she was adopted, I immediately thought of the cross. You know, that it took a hammer and a nail to remind us that we've been adopted by Jesus.
Yes.
And so I think that's a good word. I'm so proud of what God's doing through Pepper's Ranch. And I'm so glad to have you on the show. And I think what you're doing is amazing. And I know a lot of our viewers love it as well. And so if you'd like to get involved, all you got to do is go on to peppersranch.com and share your passion, share your talent with a student who needs it. And thank you so much for being here. We love having you on the show. Thank you for joining the conversation. I'm Dave Edwards. This is Joy in Our Town. We'll see you next time. Until then, stay focused.